Welcome back. Let's look at some application questions. Salem invested a certain amount of money for 5 years. If he received a total of 20,000, that includes 2,500 Rand interest, at what rate did he invest? Now, because we have the end value and not the initial value, we first need to calculate our initial value. So our initial value is going to be our lump sum, our end value, minus our interest, and that is going to be 20,000 minus the 2,500, which is 17,500. And now we can go into our formula for percentage increase by saying 20,000 Rand minus the 17,500 over 17,500 times 100. And then our answer is 14.29%. So, sorry about that. Let's look at what we've done. First, we had to calculate our initial value by saying our end value, the 20,000, minus our interest, the 2,500. So our initial value is 17,500. Then we used the formula new minus old over old times 100. And we substituted the 20,000 and the 17,500. We multiplied by 100 to get a percentage, and then it's 14.29. Compare the following scenarios. A, where you invest 1,500 Rand for 3 years at 8% simple interest, and B, where you invest 1,500 Rand also for 3 years at 7.5% compound interest. And remember, the moment they don't say compounded something, we assume it's compounded yearly. So now, which of the investments gives a higher return rate at the end of the period? Let's quickly check there. So now, when we look at option A, it's interest rate for 1 year. So option A is going to be my interest rate or my interest value is going to be 1,500 times 8%. And now you can just multiply by 3 to get our interest value. Why? Because it's the same calculation for 3 years' time. And that will give us 360 Rand. So our value at the end is going to be 1,500 plus 360, which is 1,860. If we look at B, now B is the compound interest. Here, the calculation is going to be a little bit longer, but we will be able to do it. So for the first year, it's going to be 1,500 multiplied by the interest rate, 7.5%, and that is 112.50 Rand. So at the end of our first year, it's 1,500 plus the 112.50 Rand. So going into our second year, we've got 1,612.50 Rand. So our second year is going to be 1,612 Rand 50 times our interest rate, 7.5%, and that is then 120.94. Again, that will be added onto our value of 1,612 Rand 50. So going into year 3, it's going to be 1,733 Rand 44.44 times my interest rate, 7.5%, and that is 130 Rand. So we end off with an amount of 1,863 Rand 45 cents. Now let's look at this. Option A, we end with 1,860 Rand. Option B, we end with 1,863 Rand and 45 cents. Now, explain why a smaller interest rate, which is compounded, could yield more than a higher simple interest rate over the same period. Now, remember guys, compound interest is interest on interest. Okay, so that is interest on interest, meaning your initial value keeps on going, and therefore, because the initial value is keeping on growing, you will earn interest every time, a little bit more. Let's look at the last application question. Tabu and Tandi knew 3 years ago that they would be going on honeymoon. As a result, they deposited 5,000 Rand into a fixed deposit account at the beginning of each year for 3 years. An interest rate of 4.1% per annum was given, compounded annually. Determine the unknown values of A, B, and C. Now, A is the interest that they gain. So therefore, we would have said A is the interest gain. So it's 10,205 is the beginning amount there for the year. And we end with 10,623.41. So the interest gained is the difference between the two. So we'll say 10,623 Rand 41 minus 10,205 Rand. If you take your calculator and deduct the two, 10,623 Rand 41 minus 10,205 Rand, then the interest gained would have been 418 Rand and 41 cents. Now B is the amount in the bank at the start of the year. Now what happens? Every time at the end of the year, they add another 5,000 Rand. So B is going to be my end value, 10,623.41 plus an additional 5,000. So B is then going to be 15,623 Rand, 41. And then C is going to be B plus the 640, sorry about that, 640 Rand, 56. And then you'll see it's an end value of 16,263 Rand and 97 cents. Now, after this tongue twister, I need a break. I don't know about you. Let's quickly go for a break. See you soon.